This is a very important paradigm. And I'm talking about worldview. I mean, I'm talking about how you have to wash your brain. You know, have you heard that phrase? Have you ever been told that? Oh, you're a Christian, they wash your brain, right? Okay, don't take it as a bad thing. It's a great thing. Continue washing it, you know? Put more soap in it, you know? Because you need it, you need it, you need it. You need to wash your brain and to put new things there. You know, that's very important. And there is a paradigm about time. This thing taught me a lot. You know, there is a paradigm about time that you need to reflect on that. Well, most of you probably come from a culture that already is that way. You know, but in my country, this is a big deal, and this paradigm. I mean, everything we are talking about. Remember this: a lie in this paradigm will produce poverty, will produce death, will produce, you know, underdevelopment. It will produce suffering. It will produce bondage. So, if you are dealing with nature and you believe a lie, you are done. You know, but if you believe a truth and you live it out, then you will be set free. You will enjoy. You will get biblical prosperity. Is what it will lead you to. You know? And the same thing happens here. Is the sense that history is going somewhere. In my country and wherever you go and see poverty and brokenness, one of the things that, of course, this is in the mind and it's difficult to see, the problem with worldviews, as I told you, is that we materialize ideas. So what we see outside is visible as a culture, but what we are seeing belongs to something we cannot see, like a tree. You know, in a tree we can see the trunk, the leaves, the fruits, but we don't see the roots, right? Roots might be even bigger than the tree, but we don't see them. The same thing happens in every town, in every culture we visit, in every country, in every group of people. We see them with problems, but those problems don't start there. They start in their worldview. So don't waste your time, don't waste your money trying to fix things that you can see. You have to work hard in things that you cannot see, and most of them are there in their worldview. And one of those things that are hard to see is what is this paradigm. Because history goes somewhere. It's an idea that sounds simple probably here, but not in many places. You know, not in many places. I mean, if you see the Jewish history, it's amazing because God made the Jewish people to walk in life always watching behind in time and watching in front. You know, their history and their prophecies, and to find out what is God doing now with them. You know, what time are they living now? You know, it's quite interesting. I mean, it's a paradigm. When I read the Bible in the New Testament, can you imagine people like John the Baptist or Jesus, who were considered interesting people that showed up, and you know, they showed up in the scenery? They immediately approached to them and asked them a question. Are you the one? Yeah. Are you the one? One? Which one? It was hundreds of years, maybe thousands, and they were making that questions. Are you the one? I like John the Baptist's answer much more than he said, no, I am not. Okay, then who are you? You know, who are you? I don't know what I could answer if I were someone, if they make you that question. Who am I? Okay, let me see. My passport is here. You know, That was not the question. They knew he was John. But who are you? What does it mean? Who are you what? What was the question? You know? Who are you in God's history? Can you be conscious about that? That brings you a kind of consciousness, you know? Do you understand what I'm saying? Who are you? Who are me? Of course, we all have an identity, but that was not the question. Who are you? Who are you? It's a question in God. Are you someone that God is bringing to your community to make transformation of some kind? Are you conscious about that? You know, there is a history, a sense of history. And it's impossible to live a biblical faith without that. It's quite interesting, but it's a paradigm. You know, because if you see every Jew, when they ask you, why are you doing this, or who, they start with Abraham, Jacob, all of them, you know, and Moses and all that, and they end up with them. That explains them, why are they doing what they are doing, where they are going. This perception of time and history is very important for your children. You know, and I remember when Daryl Miller went to Bolivia and talked to us about the power of a story and how you could make a storyline of your country or your family. And I said, oh, sounds strange. You know, maybe it's a gringo thing. I don't think so. But that's not true. It's very biblical. And it's amazing. It's powerful. Because if you think in those terms and you see your life little by little, and if you are following the road to become fruitful, you'll see it. And you can be bold enough to say, God brought me here to do this, and you can have that certainty, and He won't fail. Because history is going somewhere. God is not doing just, you know, it's like, oh, I got saved, yes, yeah, God brought me out of sin, and yeah, that's it. You know, I'm fine, thank you. You know, everything is going fine. No, that's not true. Because in poor countries, what you're going to find is, because people think that history goes nowhere. History, what is that? For instance, in Bolivia, we hear the word history only in books, okay? And at school. And if you read it, you won't understand it. It's all bad news. We lost wars, the Spanish came, they killed us, and all that. You don't want to believe what you read in those books. And that's what we understand of history. But that's not the biblical idea of history. And we see that we were not going anywhere. It's like being in a wheel. You know what? My grandfather was a poor campesino somewhere. And my dad, he was a poor campesino too. And guess what I am? Because everything is just repeating itself, you know, one and over, one. And that creates fatalism. Nothing is going to change anyway. When you bring technology, when you bring things, new things, they get scared because they don't know how to manage that. When you bring education, they just, no, don't change anything. Everything is working fine. It's not working. You're not going anywhere. In Bolivia, it's a country, I'm going to talk about my country. You know, people don't like changes. And it's not because they don't like it, it's because they are trapped in that perception. And they sometimes find themselves comfortable. Because Bolivia is a place where is a place of a lot of richness, natural richness. So people don't suffer really from poverty. But they don't go anywhere. So they dance, they celebrate. You know, we have lost many wars, but we celebrate them anyway. We just, da, 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 da. No? Yeah. You know, it really bothers me, you know, that type of mentality. And that creates fatalism. So people, they too, I just need a job. Don't ask me to do anything, please. You know, they don't go anywhere. So fatalism produces this hopeless view of life. Nothing will work fine. Everything will go wrong. So don't try new things. You know, don't try them. You will fail. If you don't try, you'll never fail. So that's fine. You know, fatalism is a trap because you don't know that God can lead you. And sometimes it is a very simple idea. You know, I remember we were working with this education program in Guatemala, and we encouraged kids to go back to school and to continue, but they always wonder, why do I have to do that? They never saw anyone getting graduated from their communities. And we try to explain them how God has a plan for every person and how God has a plan for a community. I don't know, I didn't do that. Our staff do it. And I don't know how they do it, but because how they did it, because I began to see that all kids began to have a different vision of reality and their studies, because people begin to repeat and repeat, God has a plan for my community. God has a plan for my community. So they continue studying. Then they were going to get graduated, came, and we rented a place like this, a little bit bigger, and many people in the community were there. And for the first time, they saw children of the community getting graduated from high school. And it was really exciting. You know, all the kids with their white shirts and their ties, and we all watched to each other saying, can you believe this moment, you know? And all the parents couldn't believe it, and we broke this paradigm. And someone who spoke in front said, you see, we are on the road. God has a plan for our community. And then one by one, we gave their certificate to each one of the students, and they had the chance to say something for a minute. And what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to go to this city and I will become a teacher and I will go back to my community because God has a plan for my community and I want to be part of that plan. And one by one. And you know, maybe some kind of 20-some years passed, and the other day I was in Santa Cruz in Bolivia, and my phone rings, and there was a number. I didn't recognize the number, so I answered and said, please, I'm looking for Brother Arturo. And I said, this is me. Look, I am the son of one of the workers, and I've been looking after you. You know, I finally got contact with you. Oh, great. And I was happy about that. And we were talking for a long time, and I said, what are you doing in life? And he said, you know, I'm working in this company in the city, but I was trying to find out about his family. And I said, and what about your brother? Oh, my brother, he's the teacher of that community. And what about your sister? Oh, she's a teacher too. She's in that place. And what about, every one of them were working in their community, and it was amazing. They were professional people working in their own community, something you never saw before. Never even think about that. So just breaking a paradigm that life is just a wheel, you know, and you can tell them to realize that there is a story that they still have to pursue. The same thing happened in a community in Bolivia. There was this community where Food for the Hungry, which is the organization I worked for in the past, they put a lot of money in this project, irrigation project, with millions of dollars. But the beneficiaries were going to be this group of people who are very problematic people. You know, at a certain point, people, our organization, you know, questioned if that was really worthy, because these guys were just a terrible problem. They used to fight each other. They never did anything together, always making problems, you know. And one by one, but they were interested in the project because they were going to get a lot of benefit. And I remember we thought about this. History is going somewhere, and one of the staff members came up with a nice teaching with PowerPoint presentations, and he took it to the community, and he began to teach. You know, and it's quite interesting because he used the idea of a seed, and how God put a seed in a seed, a plant in a seed, and it was graphic, you know. And he explained them a new idea about history, and he told them, you know, history is not what you read in a book. History is what you are going to do in life to leave your children a heritage. Some things new, because history is not something that happened in the past. History is something you are going to do for the future. And can you believe this was an amazing discovery for people? I mean, sometimes we take for granted those things, right? But they just, wait a minute. Are you saying that we can do history? Yes, you can do history. They say, I thought it was the Spanish, you know, Simón Bolívar, all that people who made history. No, you do history. And can you believe that changed the environment completely? Because the next presentation was how a little child becomes a great person because their parents are working their education and doing this and that. And one another, just illustration after illustration. And they said, so we can do a lot of things if we work together. And some months later, or years later, a friend of mine came and said, you know, do you remember that project? Yeah, how is, you should go and see. You talk about biblical worldview. It's amazing what is going on in that community. They have incredible plans that they are working together. They are doing that. And just because they understood this little thing, that they can go somewhere. People don't know that. It's not that I can go. I have to go somewhere. And I have to see God working on it. You know?